The election is now over. Donald Trump has now taken the lead in the national popular vote in RCP, just 9 days out from the presidential election. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things polling and election analysis. And today we're going to be looking at Donald Trump's lead in RCP and what this means for 2024. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe. Guys, we are just 3,000 subscribers away from 60K. If we can hit there before election day, it would mean the absolute world to me. So make sure to go ahead and like the video and subscribe so the algorithm can pick this up. And so right now, Donald Trump is entering this race in a really strong position just 9 days out. In my adjusted aggregate, he is up by 2.8% in the popular vote. We can see right here that Donald Trump is closing out very strong in all of the polling data. We track all of the polling from the pollsters that I have in my 2020 aggregate, in which I actually end up getting a pretty accurate aggregate of about Biden plus 5.1. And when we go over here, Donald Trump is now up by 3 points in the national aggregate. And so looking at this, we see that Donald Trump is in a very strong position. I'm going to be going ahead and filling out the safe Republican states, those being Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakotas, as well as Montana, all of Nebraska, including Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, as well as South Carolina, Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District. All of these states will be going in the safe Republican column for the first time in quite a while, especially those states of Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, Alaska, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District. They were all likely Republican states back in the 2020 presidential election and will now be in the safe Republican column. California, Hawaii, the District of Columbia, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Vermont, as well as Maine's 1st Congressional District, will all be in the safe Democrat column in this forecast, giving Kamala Harris just 86 safe Electoral College votes 9 days out from the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump leads in Texas and Florida by 14 and 12 points respectively. His Hispanic vote share has really gone up over time and is really helping him out in this stage of the game. As well as in Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, Donald Trump not only is gaining with white voters, he's gaining with Hispanic and African American voters. And this is really going to push Donald Trump's margin over the edge in the battleground states where he actually comfortably wins the election. And if we actually look here at the early return dashboard, where we can see some of the early returned ballots, Republicans are only down 2 points in the mail-in / early in-person ballots, which is a huge improvement from the last election. Basically, Democrats last time were ahead by about 16 as of this day. They're only ahead by 2 now, and it's mostly a bunch of Democrat voters essentially missing from the ballots last time. If we look over here and go to a state like Arizona, we'll see that Donald Trump is in fact, or at least that Republicans are up in the early vote / mail-in votes as of right now. In Georgia, we see that Republicans are actually up here as well, which is fairly interesting. Looking at a place like North Carolina, we actually see that Republicans are probably narrowly ahead as of right now in the early in-person / mail-in voting, which is interesting because last time they were down by a couple points. They were down like 20-30 points in 2020. And so this is very interesting. And even looking at Nevada, I mean, it's just an absolute bloodbath in Nevada for Republicans. They are absolutely crushing the early vote by 3 points as of right now. Democrats were ahead by way more than this back in the 2020 election. And so things are not really playing out well for the Democrats in the early voting. And we see that Donald Trump is closing strong here in the final hours of the 2024 presidential election. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the same thing. In fact, in Wisconsin, funny enough, we have modeled party returns because they're not registered by party, but we can model out these ballots properly, and when you model them out, Republicans are ahead by 11 in the state of Wisconsin, which is very fascinating. And when we go to a place like Michigan, we'll see here that Democrats are ahead, but they're not ahead by enough in order to overcome that. Same thing in Pennsylvania. Funny enough, Republicans are actually over 30% of returned ballots, which is very fascinating. This was a way higher lead for Democrats back in the previous cycle. So that is something very fascinating to look at. And when we look at those early returns, election day votes always skew more Republican. Even Atlas Intel, their poll shows that a majority of Republicans and Trump 2020 voters are coming out on election day. Looking at the likely Democrat states, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Illinois, as well as Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, New York, were all in the likely Democrat column. All these states were in the safe column last time. But Kamala Harris is underperforming with every single voter demographic compared to Joe Biden in the last presidential election. Looking at the pure toss-ups, Nebraska 2nd and Virginia are the only lean states in this forecast. We see here that Nebraska 2nd is trending to the left by a pretty decent amount, and Virginia is also trending to the left and is not quite there just yet in order to flip. It is possible that Donald Trump does win the state at this point, as he is going to Virginia. Glenn Youngkin's operation is running on the ground and may not be accounted for in this modeling. However, we do actually see that in a lot of these, toss-up states, New Mexico, Donald Trump is ahead. New Hampshire, he is actually barely ahead right now by 0.04%. in this forecast. It could effectively go either way to Kamala Harris. Maine at large is in the lean Democrat column in this forecast. Believe it or not, it is actually in the lean Democrat column here. However, this is still in the tilt Republican column, and we have Minnesota going tilt red in this forecast by 0.6%. So as of right now, this is what the 2024 map is looking like. Donald Trump is going out there. He's closing out the election very, very strong. He's flipping deep blue states that no one thought he'd be able to flip, but this is where we are right now. And so if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. If you want to go ahead and check out betonline.com, where you can look at the latest betting odds for the presidential election, the link will be in the description down below. And we will see you guys in the next video.